it is. I might have to look on the channel itself just to see. Where is it? Race Spec Esports. No, I haven't gone live quite just. Oh, not Discord, YouTube taking its time. Come on. Come on. YouTube, come on. Work with me here. There it is. There it is. Streams up, chats up. We're all good to go. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Le Castellet, France for round 7 of the PS4 Tier 2 Pacific Series here at Race Spec Esports. It's time for the French Grand Prix here at Circuit Paul Ricard. Generally speaking, it's not a well appreciated racetrack in the real world of Formula 1. However, in the virtual world, this racetrack can develop some of the most magnificent racing that F1 2020 has to offer. Some of the key points on the circuit we have to look out for tonight's race. We've got turn 1 and turn 8 for overtaking as they come immediately after DRS zones, and realistically they're the only two realistic overtaking spots on the entire racetrack. Another corner to look out for is turn 10, the almighty Sen corner, a fast right-hander taken completely out. Mixed weather conditions, it tends to be a hot spot for some pretty chaotic stuff, as proved last season when we raced here. I'm sure Big Donga doesn't have too fond of memories of that race, but I'm sure this man right here would. Sir Blocky Rex, I gave him a knighthood after taking victory here last season, as Banana is just butchering the pit exit, because why not? This man put on a spectacular display here and took a well-deserved victory. One of two that he had that season. The other came at the Hungaroring, another commanding drive. But considering the sheer level of competition we have in this championship, it might be a bit difficult for Blocky Rex to repeat his feat. But it's entirely possible. It's not impossible for him to do such a feat again here at France. But looking at some of the other drivers on the grid, be quite a difficult task. Looking at telemetry, get all this stuff up. A few drivers on the medium compound tyre. Probably just going to do a bit of race practice just to get an idea what the conditions are like around here. Tier 5. Don't know where Tier 5 is. Look in the... Oh, keep your eye in the race stream, the live race stream chat in the Discord. You should be able to see a link pop up. If not, just continue refreshing the channel and Tier 5 should probably pop up, if that's what you're looking for. If you can't, in the meantime, you could probably watch this. These guys are pretty damn quick, and they're pretty good at making some fantastic racing as well. As Blocky Rex, we'll stay on board with Blocky for a flying lap. I know there's a car in front, but this man won here last season. We'll let him take the spotlight through turns 1 and 2. Into turn 4, then turn 5. One of the slowest corners on the racetrack. Second gear, just a bit below 90 kilometers an hour. Out of turn 6, one of the more important corners on the racetrack, as it dictates the run down the Mistral Straight, heading towards turn 8, the beginning of the chicane. And you'll be aiming for that 100-meter board just a bit after it. There it is. So it's more like about an 80-meter board-ish that he aims for. Out of turn 9, heading down the second part of the Mistral Straight into turn 10. Sen, completely flat out, no hint of a lift. But if there's mixed weather conditions, that is a hot spot for accidents. Turn 11, this difficult double apex right-hander heading into turn 12. One of the most difficult corners on the racetrack, a very late apex. You have to try and straighten the car out as early as possible to try and put as much power down that brief straight. That is turn 13. Now into the final corner, turn 15, the slowest corner on the racetrack, if I'm not mistaken. An awkward final corner as well, as Blocky will cross the line with a 1 minute 29.3, just 3/10 off Banana Cake Pie, who currently leads the table. Jumps up to P1 with a 28.7. Conrad Strait does a 29.2. Kuda jumps up, absolutely obliterates Joggles by 3/10 of a second. His teammate ran in front of Ramsey, not by much, 7/100ths of a second, separating P2 and P3 at the moment. Let's see, who else can we look at? Mr. Texas, is he on the fly? Yes, he is in the other Alfa Romeo. The Alfa Romeo team actually looks pretty strong. They've got a pretty strong combination with Curving and Blocky. You'll find a link. Either that or just keep refreshing the Race Spec channel on YouTube. Eventually this up. Fuck off. Internet connection quality. Fuck off. Let's see. Actually, while we're in the midst of quali, I better have a look at the championship table. I don't know it off by heart, but I'll have a look. No, not global. I am dum-dum. What's the strat, says Kuda. He just messaged me in the Discord. I think the strat is probably best for mediums to hards around this racetrack. It seems like, well, off experience, it's definitely mediums to hards. I made that strategy work in Tier 3, and it was brilliant, so long as you keep your nose clean. So expect drivers outside the top 10 probably start on the medium compound tyre. So, just a brief talk about the championship before we go back to qualifying. G-Force Dre is currently leading the championship. He's now got 2 victories and 2 second places under his belt, so he's got 4 podiums, so very consistent for the Mercedes drivers so far. Kuda is in P2 on 75 points. OP Magic is in P3 on 71, just 4 points behind Kuda. Banana Cake Pie's consistency has put him in 4th place, with Kickbutt Kiwi in 5th. Those two drivers on 49 and 59 points respectively. Ramsey in 6th place on 44. Harass in 7th, the current defending champion. He's on 40 in 7th place. Curving Texas has 30 points in 8th. G-Force Server now demoted to a reserve role because I believe he has wheel trouble at the moment, if I remember correctly. His rig isn't working, unfortunately. And Joggles rounds out the top 10 on 22 points. In the constructors, it's a head-to-head fight between Mercedes and Red Bull. Mercedes on 134 with Red Bull on 119, separated by merely 15 points, so it's very, very close, with Haas in P3 on 71, so it seems like a dogfight between the Mercs and the Red Bulls at this stage. And rather nicely, we head towards 10 minutes left in the session. We'll stay with these guys now, with the championship and whatnot out of the way. So, who will be the driver to look out for? I guess Dre would be the obvious one, championship leader. Kuda's got some pace underneath him. But when the track evolves, these times will tumble. So, perhaps we might see a 27? Maybe. Hello, Banana. Good to see you in the chat. Let's see how Mr. Dre conducts himself around this 5.85 kilometer and 15 turn circuit. Heading down the pit straight into turn 1. Aiming, just braking just before the curve on the outside and flows it through quite nicely in 5th gear. That's also interesting to see. Heading up towards turn 3, then into turn 4, shifting down to 4th gear, down to 3rd, down to 2nd, I imagine. And he's made a bit of a meal of that sector. I wonder if he'll pull out of a lap. No, he's up by 3/10 of a second. That's awesome. Through turn 7. DRS open, and he knows he can find more time in that sector. Just little mistakes here and there. Into the chicane, hard on the brakes, 4th gear, down to 3rd gear for turn 9, short shifts to 4th, gets on the power nice and early, 5th gear, 6th gear, 7th gear, 8th gear, and 300 kilometers an hour, heading towards turn 10, absolutely flat out. heading towards turn 11. Double apex right-hander. 5th gear, 6th gear, 7th. Not 7th, he keeps it in 6th, then uses 4th. All the way round there. I have the same technique through turn 12 as Mr. Dre. I use 4th gear all the way down, I don't use 3rd. As F1 Hawk jumps to the top of the table. But let's see what our championship leader can do. Coming down the pit straight away, it's a 1:20. Oh, not quite a 27. It's a 28.2, but I think there's a bit of time to be found. You notice he made a few mistakes here towards turn 3, turn 4 and turn 5, so he's got a little bit of time to find. Kuda's invalidated a lap. Benny's on an in lap. Ramsey's on a flyer, currently up by almost 0.2 of a second. This will jump him up potentially to P2. Around the final corner, hard on the throttle. 6th gear, 7th gear, out of ERS. It's a 1:28.3. One thing that they changed about this circuit is where the start-finish line is, where the control line is, and I don't like it. I don't like where it's placed. I much prefer where it was in F1 2019. It's a very long wait for drivers to cross that start-finish line. It takes an eternity. We'll go on board the banana bus heading through turn 5 into turn 6. There's Ramsey just pulling off to the side. Something you can do quite easily around this circuit, seeing as it is a tarmac lake in the middle of nowhere. There's plenty of run-off space, plenty of space to get off the racetrack. Hard on the brakes. 4th gear, 3rd gear. Using that TC, went to 100% throttle right on the apex. I can assure you, you won't be able to do that without TC. Holy moly. Through turn 10. Into turn 11. Gets that first apex, gets on the brakes, nice and wide, ready for the second apex. There we go. 6th gear, 7th, down to 4th, maybe 3rd. There's 3rd. Bit of oversteer on exit. It may compromise his run through 13, heading into 14 now. 4th gear, on the brakes. 2nd gear, missing the apex. It cost him a little bit of time again. 29.1 is what he's done previously. What does he do now? 28.6 puts him P6. Not bad for the Renault driver. Looking back, Curving's on a set of mediums from the looks of things. Wait, fitted? Yep, he's on those mediums. Okay, give us a good idea of where the mediums sit in comparison to the soft tyres. What you miss? Not too much, mate. You know, with qualifying, it doesn't really get entertaining until we hit 3 minutes to go. Right now, it's just about gauging who's going to be where on the leaderboard. Roscoe Arm in P3 as well, with a 28.3. So we've got a very, very close field at the moment. From first place all the way down to 10th, all of those drivers are within a, 6/10 to be honest, not even a second. 6/10 of each other. It's stupidly close. In goes Curving, he's done. OP Magic's on a lap. This will be a good lap. Let's ride on board with OP in the Haas. Down the Mistral straight, heading into the most obvious overtaking spot on the entire racetrack, turn 8. It's where all the action will take place in terms of racing around this circuit. Everywhere else it's pretty much follow the leader kind of stuff. It is pretty difficult to overtake. Purple in Sector 2 apparently, but the game often lies to me about that sort of stuff, so I'm not going to believe it. Through turn 11, 5th gear, down to 4th, hits the second apex, up to 5th gear, uses all the curve, takes a sublime line through 11. A bit more of an awkward line through 12. I think he took a too early apex. I think it would have been better just to wait a little bit longer. Try and not hit the curve on the inside, but we'll see. Does well through the final corner, up through the gears, 5th gear, 6th gear, up to 7th, 1 minute 28 flat, an awesome lap time, and it's a Haas 1-3, so it's looking good for the American team, separated by only 0.3 of a second as well. And with Track Evolution playing a massive part here, as Joggles jumps up to P2, I expect these times will most likely tumble, so long as they keep it together. There are a couple of places here at Paul Ricard where you can slide wide, maybe get a track extension. You might get a corner up cut at turn 8 if you cut it too much. But there's a nice little thing to do in quali. Open up the final corner. Open it up. Go right around the outside and try and get as much straight line time as you possibly can. You can afford to do that in this game. Through turn 2. Goes G4 straight. Now remember, he made a bit of a meal of this bit on his previous lap. Let's see if he does a better job. Certainly looks like it. Maybe not using as much curb as I think, and he's actually down ever so slightly in the first sector. Let's see if he can improve elsewhere. Heading into the chicane, turn 8. Here we go, turn 8, then turn 9. Then apparently they don't count this as a corner. I don't know why, but they don't. The next turn is coming up now. This fast right-hander. They call that turn 10. Don't know why they don't call the other two corners, but anyway. Turn 11. Seems like with turn 11 you can take an almost infinite amount of lines through there and still be fast. Oh, and he's made a meal of turn 12. Now will he pull out of his lap? No, he's going to continue with it. He doesn't have enough time to set another lap though. It's looking like he's just pushing the car a bit too hard. He's overdriving the car. He's not letting it flow. Crosses the line, doesn't improve. So Dre will be kicking himself with that, for sure. There was definitely time in that lap. As I think F1 Hawk just drove across the chicane. I could be wrong, but certainly looked like it. Got a few drivers on out laps, making their way round. Benny's on a flyer through turn 11. See how long you have to stay flat out before you start braking. You sort of have to take the first apex, and as soon as you take it and hit it, then you start braking for the corner. Tightens up quite a bit. But Benny, he's got F1 on. Oh, that is messy and unacceptable. To be quite frank, what on earth is that? Honest to God. Benny would be absolutely furious, and so am I. That was very dangerous, I must admit. Benny on a flyer. In fairness, and this is the only bit of fairness I'm going to give, is that Jeff is honestly the most useless person in the world, has an IQ of a walnut. So your race engineer will not tell you who's on a fast lap. It just will not say who's on a fast lap. So it's up to you as a driver to sort of know who's on a flyer and who isn't. And to be honest, that's just disappointing. That is seriously disappointing. And he's up as well. Ramsey's cutting the track, and he's going to give his teammate a tow. Don't know about this. I mean, it's a good team strategy, but... Oh, and Kuda's invalidated regardless, so it doesn't really matter. Grim Reaper on a flyer as well. Alright, Mr. Hawk. No, Hawk's invalidated. Anyone else? Kiwi's not on a lap. Curving's on one. He's up by 6/10. He can get into the 28s. He might be able to jump up into the top 10 if he's lucky. DRS open. Crosses the line. That's an awesome lap time from the Alfa Romeo driver. Showing his pace on the soft compound. He misses out on pole by only 0.02 of a second. Well done, Mr. Texas. An awesome showing from the Alfa Romeo driver. But how about that? Everyone from first all the way down to 15th is in the 28s. That is ridiculous. That is genuinely ridiculous. Oh, don't tell me the stream's broken, is it? So my voice is like, give me a minute, I'll quickly restart the stream.